mannered,
Right.
very,
Yeah, it'll be nice though, I think, when it's done.
Yes, it will.
just,
A lot of great families in that school district.
yeah.
And then, now Pat might, guess I have to brag a little bit as being a product of that that
I said,
school
I
district.
know one of your people out there. I know two of your people out there, so.
It's
And they
Okay,
said-
team, hate to interrupt, but we're live.
Okay,
Rose on soon today?
He's online. Is Rose coming, right?
Rose is
No.
not able to attend, so
Okay.
Bob is our secretary tonight,
Stop.
for which we're very grateful. Clock.
yes, ma'am.
Okay. Good evening and welcome to the Wednesday, March 9th already, meeting of the Zoning Board of Appeals. If you've not spent an evening with us before, and I know a couple of you have, let me tell you how it's going to work. This is a quasi-legal board meeting, which means we have the best court reporter in probably the whole state of Ohio over here taking notes. So anything you say will be recorded. And therefore, we will ask you, if you're going to speak, that you come to the microphone and that you speak directly into the microphone. Not that we think Joan is deaf, but it's sometimes hard for her to hear if you're not speaking up. And we're also on Zoom, so we need to be cognizant of the people that are out there that might be listening to us. We have two variances to hear tonight. I will read the request for the variance, and you are asking us to take an existing zoning law and change it for you. So we're going to ask you to show us a hardship. Why, if it's not granted, you're going to suffer a hardship. We will also ask for anybody in the audience that wants to make any comments on your request. The board will ask you questions. We will then close the public hearing and have a private hearing, which means you all stay here, we all stay here, and you'll hear us discuss it. We'll come back out of that, we'll take a vote, and you will know tonight whether or not your request for your variance has been granted. If it's not granted, you have the option of going to the Court of Common Pleas. We will start off by asking anyone who's going to be speaking tonight, except the dog, Harry, to please stand and be sworn in. Raise your right hand. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? Consider yourself sworn in. Okay, I'm going to ask for an approval of the minutes for the February 9th board meeting.
So moved.
Second.
All right, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay, thank you. When you were called to the podium to state your case, please start off by saying your name and address. So the first one that we're going to hear tonight is one we've heard last month, and it's Wayne Barber of 608 West Wooster Street has requested a variance to allow the construction of a 6-foot tall fence in the 25-foot front yard setback. The corner lot, the fence would be in the front yard that faces Meeker Street, which would be 2 feet taller than the 4-foot maximum allowed. Now, this was tabled at our last meeting because after almost an hour's discussion, there was a discrepancy between what we were being told and what the drawing was telling us. So in order to have all accurate information before us to make a decision, we asked Mr. Barber if we could table this, and then he would reevaluate the drawings so that we would make sure we had all the accurate information in front of us. With that being said, Heather?
Thank you. So just a quick review under section 150.91 fences. Under B, 4 feet is the maximum height allowed when placed within a required front yard setback. And again, this is a corner lot. And where we get that front yard minimum setback, God bless you, is section 150.16 bulk and density regulations under the front yard, 25-foot minimum front yard requirement there. You saw this last time, so aerial view of the property.
Oh, bless you. He must be allergic. You must be allergic to Dave sitting there.
I showered.
Using pictometry, here's some various views of the property. And then here's the front of the house that you did see last time, the side. And you saw this picture. We did add some new pictures, starting here. So after the meeting, at your request, we did have our city surveying staff member go out there and mark the city right of way to be helpful to the board to make your decision. That's something that's not normal practice, but again, They are there for your tool to utilize when there's a discrepancy or some questions. So as you can see, they did put a marking there, or maybe you can't see, it's in yellow, but that's where that right-of-way marking is.
Yes. Yes.
There is also a stake. You can't see by the picture, but it is marked RW for right of way. And then our code enforcement officer did meet the property owner on site and along with the fence company who is here tonight and tried to give you an idea of the measuring. Again, this is not official by the city. This is just trying to be helpful. And this is our best estimate using the marking of the right of way. And then I know you were looking at getting that measurement from the edge of the sidewalk, not the edge of the right of way, but the edge of the sidewalk. So you had an idea of what that was to the actual edge of the right of way, which again is that stake. So technically his property does start at that stake. So our code enforcement officer did take a picture, again, hard to see, but that's where the new sketch came in. So he figured it's about 93 inches from the edge of that sidewalk to the right-of-way stake. Again, an estimate because it's really hard to tell where that sidewalk exactly ends. It's an older sidewalk, of course, and these older areas, it's grown up a bit there with the tree lawn. So he continued to take pictures and talk with the owner about placement and get you some different angles there. So it's hard to see here too, but he tried to get, I know we talked about the van backing up and that visibility site. You can't see from here, but that stake is up that way. And then there's the van moving and backing there. Give you an idea of the different site there. Another picture of the van there towards the edge of the driveway. Another closer up view when it's actually placed towards the back of the driveway. Another view of the property. And then here's looking at that driveway again and where the fence would go, and he would still bump it out according to the sketch that 5 feet from the garage and then head this way. Really, I would say the main difference is that he's showing the fence basically up to the right of way, which we calculated again at about that 93 inches from the edge of the sidewalk. I would say that's the biggest change that we saw. Again, trying to get you more accurate numbers and a visual of what that would look like. There's that latest sketch. Again, our code enforcement officer he really drew this up and tried to be helpful, which is, really went
And we
above and beyond
appreciate
there
that.
and tried to get it right for you all as best we could, working with the owner and his consent. So again, he marked here that the fence would be approximately 10.01 feet from the center line. So you would basically, again, that gives you the fence is adjacent to the right of way. And then he shows that approximate 93 inches again from the edge of the sidewalk to the right of way. Also, while he was there, we weren't aware there was a survey. So the owner did give him a copy of the survey. And so that's what we used and blew up there to try to show a little better view and some of those details from that survey. So that was good to have. Trying to see if I missed anything else.
Could you do me a favor and go back one shot, please?
If you use your microphone, would you say?
Yes, Bob, would you please?
Sorry.
That was my nice way to ask you to use your microphone.
Thank you. Is that, I take it that photo is before the van was moved for those other shots?
I don't recall because maybe when
Okay.
Mr. Barber
So the
talks.
yellow mark would be approximately a foot or two behind the back of that van where that was, right?
Here it
Okay,
is on
so
that
it's right
picture.
That's what it
Yep.
appears.
Yeah.
Okay, all right, just wanted to verify. Thank you.
So we did not receive any phone calls or written correspondence again about this after sending the required letters. An advertisement was placed in circulation or newspaper circulation is required. A site notice is placed at the site. The other notices required by the administrative code were posted in the proper time and location. A letter was mailed first class mail to the tax mailing address of the owner and adjoining property owners. Therefore, all the procedural requirements for the hearing have been met.
Thank you. And please thank your code officer for going out there and doing that. Mr. Barber, you want to come up and talk to us again? And start off by giving us your name and address, please.
Wayne Barber, 608 West Worcester Street.
Okay, you want to tell us what you're trying to do and why you wish to have this variance and what the hardship would be? You can just briefly, because I think most of us remember from the last time, but you can just briefly explain it again for the records.
Yeah, we've lived there for 25 years. When we moved to West Worcester Street to the house, West Worcester was a pretty quiet street, which we could sit out on the porch and have a cup of coffee and carry on a conversation. In 25 years, with all the houses, condos, funeral parlors, golf courses, it's like a thoroughfare. Every minute of every day, traffic's up and down West Worcester, up and down. Couldn't use that anymore for sitting or talking or having coffee. Just too loud. So to move to the backyard, which was our intention, what we discovered was that there was between the street, the sidewalk, and no berm. Our yard was almost in the street, so to speak. It's a small yard anyway, if you look at it. And we tried to set out in the summer and whatever, try to use it as a thing. And there were dogs trying to run in the yard on the leashes, and there were people everywhere because of the pool and the track,
Mhm.
the swimming pool, the new city building. It's a direct shot to City Park off of West Worcester down Meeker, and the traffic became very heavy. So between the pedestrian traffic and the traffic on the street, we found out that that wouldn't work either. There was no privacy there. There was no, if you had a cookout, you just want to invite the street people, because it's not the neighborhood people who come by, it's the people we don't know that live yonder. Okay. So having said that, we can't use the front porch. We can't use the backyard. My wife and I are both retired. Okay. I'm retired from military and DOD, and my wife's a retired nurse from Woods County Hospital. And her mom had been ill for quite a few years, and we were basically her caretakers. And she passed away last month. And we haven't had a vacation in 9 years. My vacation in 9 years was Home Depot and Walmart. That was it. That was it. We did not go outside of Wood County anywhere for 9 years. But she was the POA and she was the primary care person. And being a nurse, she always wanted to be there to help out. She passed away January 31st. So, which gave us some free time to think about. And as she's winding down, as my wife is winding down with the affairs from whatever, from the death, the passing and whatever, we were discussing maybe taking a vacation, a trip. When you haven't been anywhere in 9 years, you don't really know where to go or how to get there. Okay. So you look at the airline traffic, and almost every day there's a attack on somebody on the airlines. People don't want to wear a mask, and some do, and I'm afraid to fly. So being the ages that we are, we put that aside. Okay. Secondly, you could go on a cruise. Okay. But on a cruise ship, you always hear about viruses. You always hear about all these things. So we put the cruise ship aside. Okay. Next thing is you can always drive your car, right? Okay. Hadn't been on the road in 9 years. Go anywhere. Okay. Be like starting all over again.
I hear that.
And the same thing is that people are getting shot because of road rage, because they think you're somebody else. So the chances of you getting anywhere there and back without some incident is not very good. And I don't want that either, so we put that aside. So the only thing we had left was the backyard. We'll make the backyard our vacation spot. We can come out and enjoy. We can plant some flowers and we can plant some bushes and trees, and we can make that our focal point for our backyard. So if I don't get the fence, I got nowhere else to go.
You don't have a vacation, right?
I just, but it's just, being a small yard and being so close to the street, the sidewalk and the traffic, to the skateboard park and the swimming pool and the city buildings and also it's a big cut through road. When you're having construction down Haskins Road and in that area, people cut through Meeker to go to Conneaut to go back over to Haskins Road. So you have a lot of truck traffic, construction traffic, people traffic, it's just, it just won't work.
And you kind of have you're in this situation of almost having 2 front yards, really.
So that's it.
Okay. Members of the board, do you have any questions, Mr. Barber?
Do not.
Anybody else?
No, ma'am.
I think we're all convinced you have a hardship.
Thank you.
If I don't hear any more questions, no one in the audience has anything to say? Sir, did you want to say something? Feel free to come up and say something if you'd like. Okay, just give us your name and address when you go up there.
Jeremy Williams, address 13938 Mitchell Road. If this goes through, I'll be the contractor for Mr. Barber. The only thing I wanted to add was the fact of, I know there was some things come up about the line of sight for backing up. And the one picture, I don't know if you can find it again, but shows the van backed up so far, and then you can see through his front window, and it's in line with that stake.
Mhm.
So if he's backed up and he's not to the road yet, you can actually still see oncoming traffic. So I think that was the biggest part of it. Excuse me. If, I don't know, that wasn't the one. It's,
You want to
going
make
back.
sure you're talking in the mic, please, Jeremy?
it shows the, his front window. You can see the line through the front window.
Mhm.
Okay, just tell me when to stop and
Keep
can do
going.
that.
Right there.
Yeah.
You can see the property stake through the window at the other end.
Mhm.
So he's not all the way back yet. And that's pretty much where that fence will go within that line. So he's still got plenty of room to back up. And to still have plenty of visual through that for oncoming traffic.
Okay.
I know, I think that was that came up last time. I wasn't
Yeah,
here.
it was.
But like I said, he still has probably another few feet to back up before he even gets to the road and can still see down that line. So that was all I wanted to add.
Anybody have any questions for?
I do.
Okay.
Just,
Sure.
your answer is not going to change my vote. So, but just out of curiosity, some fences you can see through depending upon the angle, like
Mhm.
board on board versus a privacy
Right.
stockade.
Mhm.
What is the plan? Do you know?
Well, it'll be a solid,
It could be a stockade fence.
it's solid privacy fence. It's a custom built, but it is solid. And to that effect, the shadow box fence, which was kind of what you're talking about,
Yes, sir.
you can, but you kind of have to be more at a 45-degree angle to see through it, which probably wouldn't make any difference either way on that one. So. is that it?
Anything else? Thank you very much. There's no further questions. I will close the public hearing and we'll have a discussion amongst ourselves.
You got a
Gentlemen?
question out front?
Beg your pardon? Oh, I'm sorry. Did you wish to say something? No, just, we can hear you from there.
He and I discussed. And he cut a corner off. 45.
Okay. Probably not. No, I don't
I
think it
think
will.
I think our biggest concern last time, and you've alleviated my concern
Yeah.
anyway personally, was
Yeah.
the being able to see when you're backing out of the driveway. I
Right.
think we were asking for 6 feet, maybe 7 feet. You're at almost 8 feet.
Yeah,
So
you've done
You've done your
answered
homework.
our-
The
our
measurements look
problems,
good.
So,
I
yeah,
think you'll be pleased with the result.
you're okay. All right, now let's go into, go from the public hearing into private hearing, and may I have a motion?
Also move to adopt.
We have a motion.
Second,
We have a motion that's made and seconded. Will the secretary call the roll, please? I love to say that when it's you, Bob.
Waddle, yes. See, I like to start.
There you go.
Flager,
Yes.
Johnson,
Yes.
Ennis,
Yes,
Ostorp,
Yes.
Request for your variance has been granted. And thank you for your patience and coming back and getting things straightened out for us. And thank you, sir, for coming and as the builder and showing us. So, oh, you're very welcome. And if you need to get the paperwork and things from the city, please do so. Well, you will. Okay, thank you very much. The next one is, and I'm probably going to crucify your last name, Lee Lebatro, 909 Northwest Main Street, has requested a variance to allow the construction of an accessory structure, a gazebo already constructed that is 10 feet in diameter, which would encroach 3 feet into the 5-foot required side yard setback to the north and 8 feet into the 10-foot required setback from the primary structure. A variance is also requested for a 10-foot by 10-foot concrete pad under the gazebo already constructed, which would encroach 1 foot into the 3-foot required setback from the side property line to the north. Heather?
Thank you. So under section 150.03 definitions, this is where we get the definition for accessory building or structure. And the regulation is that towards the bottom, any accessory building or accessory structure must be located a minimum of 10 feet from the primary structure. So that's a portion of the variance to be closer to the house than that minimum 10 feet. And then according to section 150.90 rear yards under accessory buildings B2, in residential districts and other districts where residential uses are allowed, an accessory building with an area equal to or less than 160 square feet may be located no closer than 5 feet to the side yard. So it complies with the rear yard, but the side yard would be closer than that 5 feet. Here's an aerial view of the property. Using pictometry, you can see there one of the sides of the home. Here's the rear yard. And if you do recall, she was here back in June of 2021. Hard to believe we're already in March of
know.
2022. But she did get approval from the zoning board for her deck addition that included the pool. Using pictometry, here's another view of the other side. Here's the front of the home. And then here's a picture. You can see the gazebo that's there. And then it's kind of hard to see there from Main Street with that tree in the way. And then there's the backyard. You can see the back of the gazebo. And then there's the pool and the deck that you approved, a portion of that. A little bit closer up view of the gazebo. And then here's a sketch that our code enforcement officer tried to recreate based on the prior variances, just to give you an idea of where the gazebo is an octagonal shape, and then the concrete pad is square underneath it. So we did, let's see, I did give you a history tonight just to give you some information on that. This is from our code enforcement officer. So on approximately January 26th of this year, a new looking gazebo was discovered at the side yard of 909 North Main Street. He researched the file and found the recently approved variance and checked on that. There was not a permit that he could find for the gazebo that was recently added. So he did call the owner, since we had her information from obviously the prior variance and permit. He did inform her that a permit would be required. He did discover that there's also a concrete pad underneath too. So the concrete pad can be as close to the house. There is no regulation on that, but it is considered, it has to be 3 feet from the property line for that. He also discovered that after notifying her, she came in right away, talked to her, and submitted for the variance on February 2nd. And then he, being the code enforcement officer, followed up on the 22nd to make sure those dimensions were right and that the sketch made sense prior to your review. So we did not receive any written correspondence or phone calls after sending the required letters. An advertisement was placed in the newspaper of general circulation as required. A site notice was placed at the site. The other notices were that are required by the Administrative Code are posted in the proper time and location. A letter was mailed, first class mail, to the tax mailing address of the owner and adjoining property owners. Therefore, all the procedural requirements for the hearing have been met.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Hi, I'm Lee Lebatru at 909 North Main Street, Bowling Green. I know stupid isn't a good excuse to have, but I've kind of been working at the mercy with the incompetent people I've been hiring. I would have assumed when I had the concrete pad put down that I either would have been told to go get permits or he would have gotten the permits. So, scratch one. The gazebo, I didn't even think about getting a permit for because I bought it used from Klotz when they went out of business. The reason I put it there was you've got all the pictures in my backyard. I have a parking lot, had a parking lot for a backyard, which is why I wanted the fence so I wouldn't have to look at it. But now, once you're back there, I didn't like the idea of being completely blocked in by the fence. With putting the gazebo where I did, and I did it intentionally, was I can put pretty bushes on either side, and from the pool, from the deck, you can see out the gazebo to Main Street, and it just looks nice. I think it looks a little friendlier than a fence all the way around. I'm friendly with my neighbors and want them to be able to come through and look at it nice instead of just, that's all I got. I don't know what else to tell you.
Hey, does anybody on the board have any questions? No questions? Anyone in the audience have any questions or comments? Bob?
Actually, I just have one question for Heather. Isn't there another variance on that property for front sign?
Yes, at one time there was.
Thought so.
Yes, I remember that.
Okay. All right, thank you.
You're going back a ways.
Yeah, I was gonna say,
Yeah.
I've been recycled
I'm
so
an
many
old guy.
times on this board, Bob, I can remember
12
those
years
things.
ago.
Don't say how many. Any other questions or comments? Hearing none, I'll close the public hearing. Gentlemen, any comments? Okay, we'll come back and I will ask for a motion.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded. Will the secretary call the roll?
Bottsdorf,
Yes.
Ennis,
Yes.
Johnson,
Yes.
Flager,
Yes.
Waddle. Yes.
Request for your variance has been granted. Is there any other Bobby visitation here? And Heather, would you please pass on to Jason that he's really doing yeoman's duty with all of his architectural drawings and things that he's doing for us tonight too?
Thank you. Absolutely. And I just want to thank all of you who were able to attend our presentation on February 16th with ZoneCo. As you know, redoing our zoning code is quite the task, and we appreciate all of your time with that and continued presence as that moves forward.
We also, at the planning department's, planning committee's meeting, Heather submitted her plan, of her work that she's been doing this past year. And she was given many kudos by the chairman and the planning department for all that she does. And so on behalf of the zoning board, I would also like to say that the zoning board is quite pleased with what you've done for us and the information that you give us and how hard you work. So I didn't want the planning department to get planning committee to get one up on us, guys. So
Well, it's a team effort and we appreciate that. Yeah,
We all agree.
thanks.
we all agree. You're great. Okay, may I have a motion for adjournment?
So moved.